Good evening. Welcome to the Bible Hour, day 28. Good evening, Chris Henry, first here in the chat. Good evening, North Star, or good morning, North Star. Good evening, Park End admin Neil at the helm tonight. Chris Henry, lighting expert here. How's it looking? Hello, Diane, Elder of the Year 2020, arguably. It's Pete Hawley dropping by for the Bible Hour. The heavy hitters have come out today, all the way from Bournemouth. In 5 minutes. Thank you, Chris. In 5 minutes, we will be jumping back in to the book of Joshua. We have made it to Joshua chapter 8. And we are reading from the New Living Translation, which is quite a nice translation to read over the internet for an hour a day. And where the dynamic equivalence somewhat veers, I try my best to remind us what better versions in that area might have to say, though there is no one English version which has the monopoly on accuracy, that's for sure. New Living Translation is easy to follow, that's for sure. So the Bible Hour, for those dropping by, where we read the Bible together and we learn to live the Word of God out in life, in normal life. No airs or graces, serving Jesus, getting to know him better, learning about his church and living it out, enjoying life, fearing the Lord, growing together. Three minutes left. Only me. Sue Roberts, hello everyone. It's been a horrendous week. All right, Sue Roberts, you have made it to the Batstone family prayer time. Tomorrow, hey, Chris Williams here. And possibly Cara. Let's have a look. No. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. we will be streaming our Sunday service. Good evening, Petit Bois. And then after the 6 p.m. Sunday service, we will have the 9 p.m. Bible Hour. If we are still alive, or if the Lord hasn't returned. In 1 minute, we will begin Joshua chapter 8. For those thinking, I thought Owen said we'll read the Bible in 60 days, but we're coming up to day 30, which is half of 60, and we've just started book number 6. and there are 66 books in the Bible? It's a valid question, a valid concern, but don't worry. There are little books we just fly through 10, 20, 30 at a time. Don't you worry about that. But yes, it does look like we are massively going over time. But don't worry about that. Setting my alarm for the church service. Wow, so 6 p.m. here. Who knows what time that is in New Zealand? Okay, it is 9 p.m. It's day 28 of the Bible Hour. We ask these questions of every passage we read because to know the Lord God better, you have to come through Jesus. To be godly, to honor the Lord, get to know Jesus, plug into church life, live it out in normal life. For those who read Joshua and have questions about things like killing and things like that, if you jump on our YouTube channel and start yesterday's Bible Hour upload, we talk a bit about that at the start as we approach the book of Jesus, Yeshua, Joshua, the book of Jesus. Welcome, everybody. Maybe it's your first time. Maybe you've never read the Bible before. May it speak to us. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So here come the church moving west into the promised land. East always bad, west good. Verse 1. The Israelites defeat Ai. Then the Lord said to Yeshua, do not be afraid or discouraged. Take all your fighting men and attack Ai, for I have given you the king of Ai, his people, his town, and his land. You will destroy them as you destroyed Jericho and its king. But this time you may keep the plunder and the livestock for yourselves. Set an ambush behind the town. So Yeshua and all the fighting men set out to attack Ai. Joshua chose 30,000 of his best warriors and sent them out at night with these orders: hide in ambush close behind the town and be ready for action. When our main army attacks, the men of Ai will come out to fight as they did before, and we will run away from them. We will let them chase us until we have drawn them away from the town, for they will say, the Israelites are running away from us as they did before. Then, while we are running from them, you will jump up from your ambush and take possession of the town, for the Lord your God will give it to you. Yesterday, we saw that the angel of the Lord, God himself, actually comes up from Gilgal and starts fighting for the church. We also today uploaded on YouTube a little clip from yesterday's reading of something I think is probably the best passage in the whole Bible, when they crossed the Jordan. Check that out. Verse 7, you will jump up from your ambush and take possession of the town, for the Lord your God will give it to you. Set the town on fire as the Lord has commanded. You have your orders. So they left and went to the place of ambush between Bethel and the west side of Ai. But Yeshua remained among the people in the camp that night. Early the next morning, Yeshua roused his men and started toward Ai, accompanied by the elders of Israel. All the fighting men who were with Joshua marched in front of the town and camped on the north side of Ai, with a valley between them and the town. That night, Yeshua sent about 5,000 men to lie in ambush between Bethel and Ai on the west side of the town. So they stationed the main army north of the town and the ambush west of the town. Yeshua himself spent the night in the valley. When the king of, I'm going to say Ai from now on, I like to mix it up. Remember, with these old names, no one really knows how they're pronounced, so just be consistent and sound confident. I'm not being consistent. When the king of Ai saw the Israelites across the valley, he and all his army hurried out early in the morning and attacked the Israelites at a place overlooking the Jordan Valley. But he didn't realize there was an ambush behind the town. Yeshua and the Israelite army fled toward the wilderness as though they were badly beaten. Then all the men in the town were called out to chase after them. In this way, they were lured away from the town. There was not a man left in Ai or Bethel who did not chase after the Israelites, and the town was left wide open. Then the Lord said to Yeshua, "Point the spear in your hand toward Ai, for I will hand the town over to you." Yeshua did as he was commanded. As soon as Yeshua gave this signal, all the men in ambush jumped up from their position and poured into the town. They quickly captured it and set it on fire. Remember, yesterday we looked at the other Yeshua in chapter 5, who is the commander of the Lord's army, who the mini Yeshua here bows down to. And of course, everything in the book of Joshua is a small scale of what the big Joshua, Jesus, Yeshua, will do in the second coming. When the men of Ai looked behind them, smoke from the town was filling the sky, and they had nowhere to go. For the Israelites who had fled in the direction of the wilderness now turned on their pursuers. When Yeshua and all the other Israelites saw that the ambush had succeeded and that smoke was rising from the town, they turned and attacked the men of Ai. Meanwhile, the Israelites who were inside the town came out and attacked the enemy from the rear. So the men of Ai were caught in the middle with Israelite fighters on both sides. Israel attacked them, and not a single person survived or escaped. Only the king of Ai was taken alive and brought to Yeshua. When the Israelite army finished chasing and killing all the men of Ai in the open fields, they went back and finished off everyone inside. So the entire population of Ai, including men and women, was wiped out that day, 12,000 in all. Yeshua kept holding out his spear until everyone who lived in Ai was completely destroyed. Only the livestock and the treasures of the town were not destroyed, for the Israelites kept these as plunder for themselves, as the Lord had commanded Yeshua. So Yeshua burned the town of Ai, and it became a permanent mound of ruins, desolate to this very day. If you want to learn a bit about the gods and the nasty, evil things these pagans were up to, check out yesterday's streams and a couple of pictures we put on Facebook. Well, one of Molech. Yeshua impaled the king of Ai on a sharpened pole and left him there until evening. Park End admin, can I see verse 29 in the KJV, please? Because I think it's going to talk about wooden poles, which is more pertinent. At sunset, the Israelites took down the body as Yeshua commanded and threw it in front of the town gate. They piled a great heap of stones over him that can still be seen today. Remember that whole thing of cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree. Evil kings get it, but the greatest king of all got it at Calvary. The Lord's covenant renewed. Then Yeshua built an altar to Yeshua, the God of Israel, on Mount Ebal. He followed the commands that, verse 29. And the king of Ai, he hanged on a tree until eventide. That's better. That's better. Cursed is all who hang on a tree. (31) he followed the commands that Moses, the Lord's servant, had written in the book of instruction. Make me an altar from stones that are uncut and have not been shaped with iron tools. Then on the altar they presented burnt offerings and peace offerings to the Lord. And as the Israelites watched, Yeshua copied onto the stones of the altar the instructions Moses had given them. Then all the Israelites, foreigners and native born alike, church has always been evangelistic, get the foreigners in as long as they join us on our terms, or the Lord's terms, along with the elders, officers, and judges, were divided into two groups. One group stood in front of Mount Gerizim and the other in front of Mount Ebal. Each group faced each other, and between them stood the Levitical priests carrying the Ark of the Lord's covenant. This was all done according to the commands that Moses, the servant of the Lord, had previously given for blessing the people of Israel. Yeshua then read to them all the blessings and curses Moses had written in the book of instruction. That's Deuteronomy, by the way, that we've just finished. It's in YouTube now if you want to rewatch it. Every word of every command that Moses had ever given was read to the entire assembly of Israel, including the women and children and foreigners who lived among them. Belter. It is important to retain that cursed theme on a tree, because it brings home, when we see what type of people were hanging on trees throughout our readings here, it brings home what it meant fully, what he looked like and became when our Lord Jesus hung there. Yeshua chapter 9. The Gibeonites deceive Israel. Now all the kings west of the Jordan River heard about what had happened. These were the kings of the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, who lived in the hill country, in the western foothills, and along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, as far north as the Lebanon mountains. These kings combined their armies to fight as one against Yeshua and the Israelites. But when the people of Gibeon heard what Yeshua had done to Jericho and Ai, they resorted to deception to save themselves. They sent ambassadors to Yeshua, loading their donkeys with weathered saddlebags and old patched wineskins. They put on worn-out patched sandals and ragged clothes, and the bread they took with them was dry and moldy. When they arrived at the camp of Israel at Gilgal, they told Yeshua and the men of Israel, "We have come from a distant land to ask you to make a peace treaty with us." The Israelites replied to these Hivites, "How do we know that you don't live nearby? For if you do, we cannot make a treaty with you." They replied, "We are your servants." "But who are you?" Yeshua demanded. "Where do you come from?" They answered, "Your servants have come from a very distant country. We have heard of the might of the Lord your God and all he did in Egypt. We have also heard what he did to the two Amorite kings east of the Jordan River, King Sihon of Heshbon and King Og of Bashan, who lived in Ashtaroth. So our elders and all our people instructed us, take supplies for a long journey, go meet with the people of Israel and tell them, we are your servants. Please make a treaty with us. This bread was hot from the ovens when we left our homes, but now, as you can see, it is dry and moldy. These wineskins were new when we filled them, but now they are old and split open, and our clothing and sandals are worn out from our very long journey. So the Israelites examined their food, but they did not consult the Lord. Then Yeshua made a peace treaty with them and guaranteed their safety, and the leaders of the community ratified their agreement with a binding oath. In church, we mustn't always just go what we think is right or easy or the obvious option or common sense. Got to get praying and seeking. 3 days after making the treaty, they learned that these people actually lived nearby. The Israelites set out at once to investigate and reached their towns in 3 days. The names of these towns were Gibeon, remember that, by the way, for Judges, Kephirah, Beeroth, and Kiriath Jearim. But the Israelites did not attack the towns, for the Israelite leaders had made a vow to them in the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. The people of Israel grumbled against their leaders because of the treaty, but the leaders replied, "Since we have sworn an oath in the presence of the Lord, the God of Israel, we cannot touch them. This is what we must do. We must let them live, for divine anger would come upon us if we broke our oath. Let them live." So they made them woodcutters and water carriers for the entire community, as the Israelites' leaders directed. Yeshua called together the Gibeonites and said, "Why did you lie to us? Why did you say you live in a distant land when you live here right among us? May you be cursed. From now on, you will always be servants who cut wood and carry water for the house of my God." They replied, "We did it because we, your servants, were clearly told that the Lord, your God, commanded his servant Moses to give you this entire land and to destroy all the people living in it. So we feared greatly for our lives because of you. That is why we have done this. Now we are at your mercy. Do to us whatever you think is right." So Yeshua did not allow the people of Israel to kill them. But that day he made the Gibeonites the woodcutters and water carriers for the community of Israel and for the altar of the Lord. Whatever the Lord would choose to build it, wherever. And that is what they do to this day. I actually love that chapter. It's like, get into church by any means necessary. As long as you feel the Lord, just get in. And the church is like, all right, come in. Isn't everybody's story different on how they became part of the life of God in church? Yeshua chapter 10. Israel defeats the southern armies. Adonai Zedek, king of Jerusalem, heard that Yeshua had captured and completely destroyed Ai and killed its king, just as he destroyed the town of Jericho and killed its king. He also learned that the Gibeonites had made peace with Israel and were now their allies. He and his people became very afraid when they heard all this, because Gibeon was a large town. As large as the royal cities and larger than Ai. And the Gibeonite men were strong warriors. So King Adonizedek of Jerusalem sent messengers to several other kings: Hoam of Hebron, Piram of Jarmuth, Japhia of Lachish, and Debir of Eglon. "Come and help me destroy Gibeon," he urged them, "for they have made peace with Yeshua and the people of Israel." So these 5 Amorite kings combined their armies for a united attack. They moved all their troops into place and attacked Gibeon. The men of Gibeon quickly sent messengers to Yeshua at his camp in Gilgal. "Don't abandon your servants now," they pleaded. "Come at once, save us, help us, for all the Amorite kings who live in the hill country have joined forces to attack us." So Yeshua and his entire army, including his best warriors, left Gilgal and set out for Gibeon, because they're part of church now. So just send the best to go and help them. Do not be afraid of them. The Lord said to Yeshua, for I have given you victory over them. Not a single one of them will be able to stand up to you. Yeshua traveled all night from Gilgal and took the Amorite armies by surprise. The Lord threw them into a panic, and the Israelites slaughtered great numbers of them at Gibeon. Then the Israelites chased the enemy along the road to Beth Horon, killing them all along the way to Azekah and Makkedah. As the Amorites retreated down the road from Beth Horon, the Lord destroyed them with a terrible hailstorm from heaven that continued until they reached Azekah. The hail killed more of the enemy than the Israelites killed with the sword. At our tea table today, we read about Sodom and Gomorrah and how the Lord called out fire from the Lord in heaven. Trinity at work. On the day the Lord gave us the Israelite victories over the Amorites, Yeshua prayed to the Lord in front of all the people of Israel and said, let the sun stand still over Gibeon and the moon over the valley of Aijalon. So the sun stood still and the moon stayed in place until the nation of Israel had defeated its enemies. You find the weather just doing what Jesus wants all the time in the Gospels. Is this event not recorded in the book of Jashar? The sun stayed in the middle of the sky and it did not set as on a normal day. There has never been a day like this one before or since when the Lord answered such a prayer. Surely the Lord fought for Israel that day. Then Yeshua and the Israelite army returned to their camp at Gilgal. Yeshua kills the 5 southern kings. During the battle, the 5 kings escaped and hid in the cave at Makkedah. When Yeshua heard that they had been found, he issued this command: cover the opening of the cave with large rocks and place guards at the entrance to keep the kings inside. The rest of you continue chasing the enemy and cut them down from the rear. Don't give them a chance to get back to their towns, for the Lord your God has given you victory over them. So Yeshua and the Israelite army continued to slaughter and completely crushed the enemy. They totally wiped out the 5 armies except for a tiny remnant that managed to reach their fortified towns. Then the Israelites returned safely to Yeshua in the camp at Makkedah. After that, no one dared to speak even a word against Israel. Then Yeshua said, remove the rocks covering the opening of the cave and bring the 5 kings to me. So they brought the 5 kings out of the cave, the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon. When they brought them out, Yeshua told the commanders of his army, come and put your feet on the kings' necks. And they did as they were told. Don't ever be afraid or discouraged, Yeshua told his men. Hold on, my wife is looking what I think is for dog number 2. She's behind me here listening to Joshua. Bible hour over for dog. 25. Don't ever be afraid or discouraged, Yeshua told his men. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord is going to do this to all of your enemies. Remember that for a second. Not for a second, for in a second. Then Yeshua killed each of the 5 kings and impaled them on 5 sharpened poles, where they hung until evening. As the sun was going down, Yeshua gave instructions for the bodies of the kings to be taken down from the poles and thrown into the cave where they had been hiding. Then they covered the opening of the cave with a pile of large rocks, which remains there to this very day. Now, going off memory, Park and admin, can you just copy and paste? I'm pretty sure it's Ephesians 1, verse 22. This is key theology, what we've just seen here. These evil kings have been oppressing people, murdering, butchering, worshipping demons for 400 years. The Lord's been patient with them. Now their judgment has come. And do you remember in Genesis 3, where the evil one will be put under the feet of Christ, and he will stand on the evil one's neck? Then we've got this passage where evil, Park and admin, it's not. Well, of course it's not. Don't listen to anything I say, except for this bit. We've got evil here being put under the feet of church. Now, if Ephesians 1:22 said what I thought it would say, Park and admin would now paste it, and it would be the most mind-blowing thing. Just double check Ephesians 1:22. Just copy and paste it. And if it's not, it's worth hanging out for, this one. That is it. God has put all things under the authority of Christ and has made Christ, I said 32, yeah, well, I do things like that, and has made him, Christ, head over all things for the benefit of the church. Under Jesus goes all things. But here now, it's not just Jesus. It's Jesus doing it for the church. And here, these evil kings are put under the authority and foot of Christ and the church. This is the second coming judgment day. Verse 28, Israel destroys the southern towns. That same day, Yeshua captured and destroyed the town of Makkedah. He killed everyone in it, including the king, leaving no survivors. He destroyed them all, and he killed the king of Makkedah as he had killed the king of Jericho. Then Yeshua and the Israelites went to Libnah and attacked it. There too, the Lord gave them the town and its king. He killed everyone in it, leaving no survivors. Then Yeshua killed the king of Libnah as he had killed the king of Jericho. For Libnah, Yeshua and the Israelites went to Lachish and attacked it. Here again, the Lord gave them Lachish. Yeshua took it on the second day and killed everyone in it, just as he had done at Libnah. During the attack on Lachish, King Horam of Giza arrived with his army to help defend the town, but Yeshua's men killed him and his army, leaving no survivors. Then Yeshua and the Israelite army went on to Eglon and attacked it. They captured it that day and killed everyone in it. He completely destroyed everyone, just as he had done at Lachish. From Eglon, Yeshua and the Israelite army just went up to Hebron and attacked it. They captured the town and killed everyone in it, including its king, leaving no survivors. They did the same thing to all of its surrounding villages. And just as he had done it at Eglon, he completely destroyed the entire population. Then Yeshua and the Israelites turned back and attacked Debir. He captured the town, its king, and all of its surrounding villages. He completely destroyed everyone in it, leaving no survivors. He did to Debir and its king, just what he had done to Hebron and to Libnah and its king. So Yeshua conquered the whole region. And the reason I'm saying Yeshua is because the English of that should be Jesus, but they put Joshua. This is the book of Jesus, and we should always be thinking mini Jesus and large Jesus, although large Jesus is there doing it with him. He comes up from Gilgal. So Yeshua conquered the whole region, the kings of and people of the hill country, the Negev, the western foothills, and the mountain slopes. He completely destroyed everyone in the land, leaving no survivors, just as the Lord, the God of Israel, had commanded. Yeshua slaughtered them from Kadesh Barnea to Gaza, and from the region around the town of Goshen up to Gibeon. Yeshua conquered all these kings and their land in a single campaign. For the Lord, the God of Israel, was fighting for his people. Then Yeshua and the Israelite army returned to their camp at Gilgal. What are we learning about Jesus and church today? 155,000 people die each day. Church is not commissioned now to go out slaughtering people. This is a one-time event which is going to show the end times, so we can all live in wonder, awe, and amazement at it. But 155 people were cut down today by this same Lord and met him. Israel defeats the northern armies. When King Jabin of Hazor heard what had happened, he sent messages to the following kings: King Jobab of Madon, King Shimron, the king of Akshaph, all the kings of the northern hill country, the kings in the Jordan Valley south of Galilee, the kings in the Galilean foothills, the kings of Naphoth Dor on the west, the kings of Canaan both east and west, the kings of the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites in the hill country, and the Hivites in the towns of the slopes of Mount Hermon and the land of Mizpah. All these kings came out to fight. Their combined armies formed a vast horde, and with all their horses and chariots, they covered the landscape like the sand on the seashore. The kings joined forces and established their camp around the water near Merom to fight against Israel. This one surely is going to be too much for Jesus. There's no way he's going to lead the church to victory this day. There's just too many. It's a bit like 2020. There's just too many people who've got no regard for him. He's finished. He's over. Let's just throw it in. Bible hour's over. Thank you very much. Let's go do something else. Oh, wait, verse 6. Then the Lord said to Yeshua, do not be afraid of them. By this time tomorrow, I will hand all of them over to the church as dead men. Then you must cripple their horses and burn their chariots. So Yeshua and all his fighting men traveled to the water near Merom and attacked suddenly. And the Lord gave them victory over their enemies. The Israelites chased them as far as Greater Sidon and Misrephoth-Maim, and eastward to the valley of Mizpah, until not one enemy warrior was left alive. Then Yeshua crippled the horses and burned all the chariots as the Lord had instructed. Yeshua then turned back and captured Hazor and killed its king. Hazor had at one time been the capital of all these kingdoms. What I find funny is Nero, who was sort of running as like the capital, he was the guy at the head of the capital in the Apostles' time. It's now, when we think of Nero, cat food. Or maybe a cafe if you're a bit more upper class, but I think of cat food. Everything against Jesus just gets reduced to cat food or less. Verse 11. These Israelites completely destroyed every living thing in the city, leaving no survivors. Not a single person was spared. And then Yeshua burned the city. Yeshua slaughtered all the other kings and their people, completely destroying them, just as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded. But the Israelites did not burn any of the towns built on mounds except Hazor, which Yeshua burned. And the Israelites took all the plunder and livestock of the ravaged towns for themselves, but they killed all the people, leaving no survivors. As the Lord had commanded his servant Moses, so Moses commanded Yeshua. And Yeshua did as he was told, carefully obeying all the commands that the Lord had given to Moses. So Yeshua conquered the entire region, the hill country, the entire Negev, the whole area around the town of Goshen, the western foothills, the Jordan Valley, the mountains of Israel, the Galilean foothills. The Israelite territory now extended all the way from Mount Halak, which leads up to Seir in the south, as far north as Baal Gad at the foot of Mount Hermon in the valley of Lebanon. Yeshua killed all the kings of those territories, waging war for a long time to accomplish this. No one in this region made peace with the Israelites except the Hivites of Gibeon. All the others were defeated, for the Lord hardened their hearts and caused them to fight the Israelites, so they were completely destroyed without mercy, as the Lord had commanded Moses. 400 years they had to repent. Now it's up. It's Judgment Day. During this period, Yeshua destroyed all the descendants of Anak who lived in the hill country of Hebron, Debir, Anab, and the entire hill country of Israel. He killed them all and completely destroyed their towns. None of the descendants of Anak were left in all the land in Israel, though some still remained in Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod. So Yeshua took control of the entire land, just as the Lord had instructed Moses. He gave it to the people of Israel as their special possession, dividing the land among the tribes. So the land finally had rest from war. We're at the third. We've just approached it. Take a 1 minute break there. Grab a drink, grab some food. Lettuce, cheese, goujons, biscuits, fajitas, whatever it is. You've got 1 minute to get some energy back. Yeshua, chapter 12. Kings defeated east of the Jordan. These are the kings east of the Jordan River who had been killed by the Israelites and whose land was taken. Their territory extended from the Arnon Gorge to Mount Hermon and included all the land east of the Jordan Valley. Some of you might have Bibles with Old Testament maps in it. It's quite interesting to dig them out around this time. Check out the territories. King Sihon of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon, was defeated. His kingdom included Aroer on the edge of the Arnon Gorge and extended from the middle of the Arnon Gorge to the Jabbok River, which serves as a border for the Ammonites. This territory included the southern half of the territory of Gilead. Sihon also controlled the Jordan Valley as regions to the east. from as far north as the Sea of Galilee to as far south as the Dead Sea, including the road to Beth Jeshimoth and southward to the slopes of Pisgah. John T loves doing that, checking the maps as we go. Great. That is awesome. Well done, John T. Hope your leg's a bit better now. Verse 4. King Og of Bashan, the last of the Rephaites, lived at Ashtaroth and Edrei. He ruled a territory stretching from Mount Hermon to Salakah in the north and to all of Bashan in the east and westward to the borders of the kingdoms of Geshur and Makkah. This territory included the northern half of Gilead, as far as the boundary of King Sihon of Heshbon. Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the Israelites had destroyed the people of King Sihon and King Og, and Moses gave their land as a possession to the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. End of Numbers, that was, wasn't it, gang? Kings defeated west of the Jordan. The following is a list of the kings that Yeshua and the Israelite armies defeated on the west side of the Jordan from Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon to Mount Halak, which leads up to Seir. Yeshua gave this land to the tribes of Israel as their possession, including the hill country and western foothills, the Jordan Valley, the mountain slopes, the Judean wilderness, and the Negev. The people who lived in this region were the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. These are the kings Israel defeated. The king of Jericho, the king of Ai near Bethel, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, the king of Eglon, the king of Gezer, the king of Debir, the king of Geder, the king of Hormah, of Arad, of Libnah, of Adullam, of Makkah, of Methel, of Tupah, of Hefer, of Aphak, of Lashon, of Madon, and Hazor, and Shimron, Meron, and Ashhaf, and Tanak, and Megiddo, and Kadesh, and Jokneim in Carmel, the king of Dor in the town of Naphoth Dor, and the king of Goyim in Gilgal, the king of Tirzah. In all, 31 kings were defeated. In Thessalonians, as we said about yesterday, Jesus defeats the evil one with one breath. Yeshua, chapter 13. The land yet to be conquered. Cardiff, London, Hogmore Vale. When Yeshua was an old man, the Lord said to him, "You are growing old, and much land remains to be conquered. This is the territory that remains, all the regions of the Philistines and the Geshurites, and the larger territory of the Canaanites extending from the stream of Seir on the border of Egypt northward to the boundary of Ekron. It includes the territory of the fine Auckland, New Zealand, yet to be conquered, extending from the stream of Seir to the border of Egypt northward to the boundary of Ekron. It includes the territory of the 5 Philistine rulers of Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. The land of the Avites in the south also remains to be conquered. In the north, the following area has not been conquered. All the land of the Canaanites, including Mearah, which belongs to the Sidonians, stretching northward to Aphek on the border of the Amorites, the land of the Gibeonites, and all of the Lebanon mountain area to the east, from Baal Gad below Mount Hermon to Lebo Hamath, and all the hill country from Lebanon to Misrephoth Maim, including all the land of the Sidonians. I myself will drive these people out of the land ahead of the Israelites. So be sure to give this land to Israel as a special possession, just as I have commanded you. Include all this territory as Israel's possession when you divide this land among the 9 tribes and the half-tribe of Manasseh. The land divided east of the Jordan. Now then, let me just say something here. From about 14 to 21 in Yeshua, it's basically land allocation, which is not to be skipped because the Lord God has promised all of his church members that they will receive a piece of land, heaven on earth. So it's critical that we read these, because one day all believers in Jesus is going to be landed with land in the new heavens and the new earth. That is the final hope of all things. Heaven now isn't the end goal of the Christian life. The new heavens and the new earth is. In fact, that passage in Revelation 21, he'll wipe all tears from their eyes, only happens when he remakes the new heavens and the new earth, because there are still martyrs and things crying out for justice. So Romans chapter 8 is like, no, the restoration of all things, trees, animals, humans, that land is the final goal. And Joshua basically points that out now, from now to the book, chapter 21. Parker and Amin, could you just paste Micah 4 verse 4? I think that's right. Verse 8, half of the tribe of Manasseh and the tribes of Reuben and Gad had already received their grants of land on the east side of the Jordan, for Moses, the servant of the Lord, had previously assigned the land to them. Their territory extended from Aurora onto the edge of the Arnon Gorge, including the town in the middle of the gorge, to the plain beyond Medeba as far as Dibon. Micah 4:4, everyone will live in peace and prosperity, enjoying their own grapevines and fig trees, for there will be nothing to fear. The Lord of the heavens made this promise. Heaven's armies has made this promise. Spiritual and physical are not conflicting concepts, nor are they concepts. To be spiritual like Jesus is to be fully human and have friends and eat and bring glory to the Lord and turn from evil and heal the sick and feed the poor. And anyway. No, not anyway, because we're here now. So too many sermons on faith and grace and all that stuff, which is almost ethereal. The Old Testament helps show that faith and grace work themselves out in physical daily life, not some Gnostic, virtual, withdrawn, isolated reality in our heads. Their territory extended from Aroer and the Arnon Gorge, but we've done that one. Verse 11, it included Gilead, the territory of the kingdoms of Geshur and Maacah, all of Mount Hermon, all of Mount Bashan, as far as Salakah, and all the territory of King Og of Bashan, who had reigned in Ashtaroth and Edrei. King Og was the last of the Rephaites, for Moses had attacked them and driven them out. North Star, Arnen. But the Israelites failed to drive out the people of Geshur and Maacah, so they continue to live among the Israelites to this day. The allotment for the tribe of Levi. Moses did not assign any allotment of land to the tribe of Levi. Instead, as the Lord had promised them, their allotment came from the offerings burned on the altar to the Lord, the God of Israel. The land given to the tribe of Reuben. Moses had assigned the following area to the clans of the tribe of Reuben. The territory extended from Aroer onto the edge of the Arnon Gorge, including the town in the middle of the gorge, to the plain on beyond Medeba. It included Heshbon and the other towns on the plain, Dibon, Balmoth, Baal, Bath, Baal, Meon, Jahaz, Kedemoth, Mephath, Kiriathaim, Sibma, Zereth Shahar, on the hill above the valley, Beth Peor, the slopes of Pisgah, and Beth Jeshimoth. The land of Reuben also included the towns of the plain and the entire kingdom of Sihon. Sihon was the Amorite king who had reigned in Heshbon and was killed by Moses along with the leaders of Midian, Evi, Rekem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, princes living in the region who were allied with Sihon. The Israelites had also killed Balaam, son of Beor, who used magic to tell the future. The Jordan River marked the western boundary for the tribe of Reuben. The towns and the surrounding villages in this area were given as homeland to the clans of the tribe of Reuben. The land given to the tribe of Gad. Now stay with this because there's land given to the tribe of Park End. Not coming up in the book of Joshua, but sort of. Moses had assigned the following area to the clans of the tribe of Gad. Their territory included Jazer, all the towns of Gilead, and the half of the land of Ammon, as far as the town of Aroer, just west of Reba. In fact, this should be a gospel tract to give out to non-believers. Why should you become a Christian? Well, you get this sort of land, and Jesus is there, and there's no sin and death and decay. You should turn from godlessness to that. Don't give the Christian faith as like some floating cloud prayer meeting. It's worship of Jesus, which takes the form of prayer, but it's inland, it's singing, it's dancing, it's eating, it's peace. It extended from Heshbon to Ramath Mizpeh and Betonim, and from Mahanaim to the territory of Lo Debar in the valley where Beth Haram, Beth Nimrah, Succoth, Zaphon, and the rest of the kingdom of the king of Sihon of Heshbon. The western boundary ran along the Jordan River, extended as far north as the tip of the Sea of Galilee, and then turned eastward. The towns in their surrounding villages in this area were given as a homeland to the clans of the tribe of Gad. The land given to the half-tribe of Manasseh. Moses had assigned the following area to the clans of the half-tribe of Manasseh. Their territory extended from Mahanaim, including all of Bashan, all the former kingdom of King Og, and the 60 towns of Jair in Bashan. It also included half of Gilead and King Og's royal cities, and Ashtaroth and Edrei. All this was given to the clans of the descendants of Machir, who was Manasseh's son. And you know who the descendants of Machir was. I know Diane Robbins does, because she went on to study them after the Bible Hour. These are the allotments Moses had made when he was on the plains of Moab across the Jordan River east of Jericho, but Moses gave no allotment to the tribe of Levi, for the Lord, the God of Israel, had promised that he himself would be their allotment. We're approaching the last 8 minutes. It is land allotment for here on out. The land divided west of the Jordan. The remaining, hold on, something's flashing. That might mean that my mic's gone dead or something. Cara, in part of the Bible Hour, you have strange taste in food. The land divided west of the Jordan. The remaining tribes of Israel received land in Canaan as allotted by Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the tribal leaders. These 9.5 tribes received their grants of land by means of sacred lots in accordance with the Lord's command through Moses. Moses had already given a grant of land to the 2.5 tribes on the east side of the Jordan River, but he had given the Levites no such allotment. When we're back in Park End, I'm going to be shouting out randomly in services, what tribes are on the east side? And then the Bible Hour crew are going to be going bang, bang, and bang. And what was Levi's inheritance? And you're all going to go, the Lord. The descendants of Joseph had become 2 separate tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim, and the Levites were given no land at all, only towns to live in with surrounding pasture lands for their livestock and all their possessions. So the land was distributed in strict accordance with the Lord's command to Moses. Caleb requests his land. Now, I don't know if my dad is watching. I know he does sometimes, but my dad's favorite character in the whole Bible, well, probably other than Jesus, is Caleb. Lots of children called Caleb. He is a legend in the Bible. He just gets on with stuff. And he's one of those faithful spies, remember? A delegation from the tribe of Judah, led by Caleb, son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, came to Joshua at Gilgal. Yeshua. Caleb said to Yeshua, "Remember what the Lord said to Moses, the man of God, about you and me when we were at Kadesh Barnea. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to explore the land of Canaan. I returned and gave an honest report, but my brothers who went with me frightened the people from entering the promised land. For my part, I wholeheartedly followed the Lord my God. So that day Moses solemnly promised me, the land of Canaan on which you were walking will be your grant of land and that of your descendants forever, because you wholeheartedly followed the Lord my God." Now, as you can see, the Lord has kept me alive and well, as he promised, for all these 45 years since Moses made this promise, even while Israel wandered in the wilderness. Today, I am 85 years old. I am as strong now as I was when Moses sent me on that journey, and I can still travel and fight as well as I could then. So give me the hill country that the Lord promised me. You will remember that as scouts, one for the scouts in the group, we found the descendants of Anak living there in great walled towns. But if the Lord is with me, I will drive them out of the land, just as the Lord said. It couldn't have been easy standing for Jesus when all the other leaders basically didn't. It's hard standing for Jesus in a church which isn't interested in Jesus. But many saints have. These days, churches split over stupid things like hymn books and ties and versions of the Bible and stuff. Caleb stood for the Lord and was willing to give his life for the Lord in a church which didn't believe in him. Wow. That's proper church. That's standing for a worthy cause. So Yeshua blessed Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and gave Hebron to him as his portion of land. Hebron still belongs to the descendants of Caleb, son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, because he wholeheartedly followed the Lord, the God of Israel. Previously, Hebron had been called Kiriath Arba. It had been named after Arba, but a great hero of the descendants of Anak. And the land had rest from the wall. It's 21:59. We've made it to Joshua 15, and we will stop there. But I tell you this, if you trust Jesus and your church life is about Jesus and his people, Petit Bar, when you really think of the future kingdom we are going to, it will be unlike anything we are used to. Oof. It's going to be what we know, but what we don't know. Yeah, you said it better. But if you trust Jesus and your church life is about Jesus and him and not stupid other periphery things, but actual godliness, which is an obsession and love for Jesus who leads us to the Father in the Spirit, even at 85 years old, you can say like Caleb, give me this mountain. And that mountain might just be getting up for that day, or trusting in Jesus in your bed that day, or trusting him during COVID-19. But you can have absolute, robust future hope. And the Lord will give you that mountain. Give you that mountain. That's church life. So to the Bible Hour, whatever mountain you're going home to now, or whatever mountain you're going to face tomorrow, may the Lord give you that mountain, and do not be swayed from a church which wants to look over here and fight about that and be about that and split about that. Don't veer. Keep your eyes on Jesus, or you'll stick out like a sore thumb. A sore thumb in a day where church doesn't really care about Jesus, it cares about other stuff. Pseudo holiness. Stand for Jesus and he will give you the mountain. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. We will see you at 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. tomorrow.